Awnings, and I'm here to do a set of stamps that I love from Art Impressions. They have several of these. It's called Trifold, and if you look down here, the idea is that you have a set of stamps coming in from the sides and then one in the background, and you fold your card into the center to create this little world, and you open it up and that's the inside of the card. And I like it and I love that, but I'm going to do it a little bit differently, and I'm going to show you these markers before I screw it up. This is just what I used. You can use anything that's water based that you can pick up with a water brush like this, or just a water brush period. So it's fun, it's economical, it's cheap, and it does a really good job. So let me show you the cards that I did at the store. This is the easiest one to understand. I just straight up stamped it and colored it. And I didn't do mine in a trifold just because the class I like to give them 3 cards to take home and to practice a technique that maybe they haven't had a chance to try lately. And then this is what the stamps look like, all separated. All right, so that's one. That's easy. You can see how that was done. And then I tried to kind of go along in the same way, but have a completely different card. So I call this Watercolor District just because it has a watercolor look, but also it's part of a little world that you're creating, but keeps the card distinctly different and separate from a trifold. And then here's the one I think I might do today. And again, I just stamped in the background in gray to give it the appearance that it was part of a larger village. And then you do this part and then stick it down using foam mounting. And again, this little awning right here is on top of that yet. So a lot of 3D look right there. All of them do. This has a little 3D awning. And I love this one. There's 3 awnings that are 3D here. And once you've done one, you've kind of done them all. They're just all the same except a little different. Let's take another look at the original. Some people have great success using strong colors, and I really admire them for that and the ability to be able to do that. So let me just give you another look at this. Okay, these are the color choices I made just because it's more kind of in my wheelhouse. Nothing is really fighting with each other, and you can see that the blues and one of my more dominant colors, which is just kind of a muddy soft brown, is replicated on my cards as well as my ribbon. Right, so that could be boring for you, so just make sure you're picking a set of colors that you really enjoy and you have a lot of fun using. Here's one more look at these. I screwed up the numbers. On the card that we're doing today, this one right here, the purple doesn't even show up unless you want to add them as one of your flowers. This won't take long, and once you've done this one, you can really do the rest with no problem at all. Let's take a look at the inside. There's nothing there. I didn't finish it. Let's see the inside of this one. Okay, here we go. All right, so there's the inside. And all I did was I just did, this is a gray color. I used Hickory Smoke from Distress Things by Tim Holtz. And again, just the idea of a little village and then whatever you wanted to say inside. And I love this. This is from Tailored Expressions. Friends Give Friends gift cards. They have wonderful sentiments. Okay, so not hard. You can see it was just straight up stamping. This stamped again. Cut out your little awnings, put some foam under there to give them a bit of a 3D effect, and then keep what you're doing moving on into the inside, a little bit of stamping in the background, and then this just to carry on the theme of what you're doing on your cards. See this watercolor look right here? That's what we're going after, and you can see that it's not that delicate of a job. It shouldn't take you too long. You shouldn't really agonize over it. It should be free going, easy going, fun to do. And look, white is part of our colors. That's the other color that we need to remember. Don't leave that one out. There needs to be a little bit of white here and there because white is part of our palette. So don't forget, don't feel like you have to put color on every inch of everything. Let's move that and let's just do a short little tutorial. So all I'm going to do, just going to put some of my marker, my blue, on there. And let's take out your water brush. So all you're doing is, there's cheap ones and expensive ones. Lizzy brushes came out with these a long time ago, and then Tim Holtz just reissued another one like this. And you really want one that has this whole system in there. It'll help equalize and spread out the vacuum of what's going on inside and help you, once you've got this going, to make it easier. This has a small tip on it, which is really great, and it should just be damp. Shouldn't be wet, should be damped. And there's a little push button right here somewhere. There it is. You can just see it, push. And you can squeeze it just a little bit. You squeeze it too much, then it's going to start blobbing out the bottom. You need to squeeze it. It's going to fill this chamber. There's a sponge in there, and it's going to squeeze that. And sometimes it's a little bit wet, and if it's too wet, you just hold it here and let your Kleenex wick the water out of your brush. And pull it through until you're getting a nice, even bunch of water. And that may irritate you at first until you get it to where you want it. I wouldn't give up on it. This is a great tool. Once you get used to it, you'll really enjoy it. You'll get a lot of bang for your buck on this. Okay, so now I'm pushing just a little bit because mine is not that wet. I'm going to squeeze just a bit again. Okay, and you can see the water on my finger. Okay, so now the pigment is right here. I'm going to call it pigment because whatever you're using, that's all it is. It's just a bunch of pigment here that you can keep at its greatest strength right here in the middle, or you can pull out and water it down. And now you've got less pigment in more of a wash. And there it is right there. And that looks great. Look at all the color variation I have. But I'm going to take some stronger strength. And while this is wet, I'm just going to pounce it right here. And now I'm going to do it again. If you rub it a lot, you're going to pill your paper. This is just Cougar. This is just good quality cardstock. And I'm not trying to do a water class here. I'm just trying to do something that you can use to make great cards. So I don't need you to go buy anything too exotic. Just take what you've got, make sure it's a decent quality, and start using it. There we go. Okay, so that was easy. Let's try it again. Let's do a circle. Take it where it's a little bit stronger. If you add it and let it bleed, you've got a great watercolor look for not doing anything really. If you let it dry and add this, it won't bleed quite as much and you won't get that look quite as much. But again, it doesn't matter. You can go back and make it wet again and add it again. Being a little more careful this time since you know that you've stressed out the paper just a little bit already. Okay, there we go. That was easy. Okay, that's all we're doing. We're going to work pretty fast. And don't agonize over your color too much because after a while you keep doing that, your shoulders will hurt and it won't be fun. These are the two inks that I'm stamping with. Memento Tuxedo Black for my black bits and then Hickory Smoke for my background gray bits. I like this. This is a great gray. Any gray will do. All right, and then here's perhaps the most complete picture. And since that's hard to figure out what that looks like, it's this one. Now here's the challenge. See the cut on this, the sidewalk coming around here? The hardest thing in the world is to get this stamp straight so that it's going to stamp where you think it's going to stamp. So eventually I figured out that the lampposts were the ideal way to make sure that I was going to stamp straight. So let's take a look at that. All right, so I've got my stamp acrylic block here. There's my lines, right? And I can just see enough line on here. Put this down. There's my lamppost right there. And another lamppost right there. And there's my line going down the middle. You can see that since you can't see through this stamp to see where you're stamping, it'd be very easy to tilt this sideways. So taking a look at my lamppost right there, I'm just going to visually align it, make sure this, I don't want to take it off because I got this straight now, but if you were to peel it off and just line this up and eyeball it so that it's perpendicular to this middle line right here. And then you should be okay. Just go by here and try to ignore the curve that's on here. Here's another lamppost right here that's a little closer to this line. So that'll help you get this straight so that you know where you're stamping. All right, so now I'm going to ink it up. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the same set of stamp, the same exact stamp to get all of this background look right here. Nothing too crazy. I'm not even going to use the other stamps to achieve that. So I'm just going to get this little bit right here. And I'm sure you realize by now that I didn't have to ink up the whole stamp, but it was dry and new. Okay, again, look, here is my lines right here. So I'm going to line it up. That's why I chose a background of black here so you can see the edge of my paper. So there's the middle line on that stamp. If you don't have one of those, use a Sharpie and a ruler and make your own line on the block. Alright, so there it is right there. It's not as dark as I would like. That's missing right there. I think I can live with it. Actually, I can't. If I didn't want to waste too much time, I'd probably go and do that again because I'm a bit of a perfectionist, which stops me from doing more videos. Alright, so now I'm going to, here we go, I'm going to put a building that's bigger right here coming in from the left side and down a bit from the one that I previously did. I'm using my line to help me figure out where to stamp. Put it down. There we go. Alright, that looks a little better. And you can see we've got this curve here and it looks like my lamppost lined up with the edge of my paper pretty good. Ink up again. Alright, take this over here. I'm going to come out a little bit more. All right. Down here. Okay, now at this point you should probably be thinking, where am I going to put my sentiments? So I'll stamp this down here. Alright, on the original, I put a little piece of ribbon here and this is where my sentiment went. And when we did the class, this sentiment and this piece of ribbon kind of moved around everybody's card depending on where everybody ended up stamping. And trying to get a good alignment, making everything look good together. So don't worry about it if yours doesn't quite look the same. That's never a problem because you're creative and you're a stamper. It's okay, except I am going to try to leave a little bit of room on the bottom and make sure I can get my sentiment on there. And I've chosen this card as well just because the sentiment that it's used is the one that comes with this particular set. Right? I've just stamped my sentiment, and I meant to stamp while I was on camera, but it wasn't taping, but I was talking like it was taping. Here's my sentiment on a blot that has a line on it. I'm lining it up with the bottom, and we want to do it now because we wait till when our card is finished and you suddenly realize you should have put a sentiment on there. Now you're nervous and your hand is going to shake and you're like, oh, I hope I get it right. So we're not doing that. We're doing that at the beginning. Okay, and it's fitting nicely right there, but it's not nearly in the same place as my original, which does not matter. We'll just put the ribbon up here, or we'll do something else, and you know, my townhouse will maybe be over here just a little bit, but I do have a nice little path where good things are just around the corner. Now that I feel like my base piece looks pretty good, let's go back to the original and see what we want to accomplish. We want to get this little piece right here. This little additional piece that's going to raise our awning so that it's 3D. Keeping in mind that this is also going to be raised up, but this is an extra piece. So this is where you go into your little bucket and you find your leftover paper. And since you may or may not be, just hit my camera, may not be familiar with using a watercolor technique, you might want to stamp a couple of these and give yourself a chance to just get the hang of it. So let's make a couple of little awnings. There's one. Here's another one. And we're going to be cutting it out so you can make these as crooked as you want. All right, that should be good. One of those will work. Since we have this ready to go, I've gotten another piece of scrap paper from my box of scraps. And I'm just saying that I'm not being super frugal. It's just that, you know, when you've got these beautiful pieces of white paper floating around in your bag, you might as well use them on something that's going to get cut out anyways. All right, I like that, but knowing me, perhaps I might make a mistake. So since there's more room on there, I'm just going to stamp another one. Then it's ready to paint right away. We're going to give it a minute to dry while we mess around with our awnings. Okay, so there we go. Something bad happens, just start coloring the next one. Or if you need yet another awning, there it is. All right. Let's move that aside. Just give it a minute to dry. Cover up my ink. And get that plate where I had rubbed a bit of blue ink on. All right. Okay, here's my water brush. All right, so let's do a little bit of a wash first. So take just a bit. Okay, to me that seems really wet. I just kind of globbed my water on there. So I'm just going to soak up a little bit right here. Maybe I'll do that in front of the camera. That'd be helpful. All right, just drain a bit of that water out. All right, pick a bit more up. It's still a little bit wet, but let's not fuss too much. Okay, so I'm going to start right here and just come down. And let's see what I did. Okay, that's not bad. All right, but here's the thing. Where's the sun hitting this? Okay, so the sun is coming down and probably there's a little bit of light right there. Not that I did that on my original. Well, I kind of did. I put it right there. All right, so let's try that again. And let's kind of make sure our little awning, the whole thing gets wet. So it's dark over in this corner. And it's lighting up a little bit as I come this way. And I've left a bit of light down there. A little too abrupt, so maybe I'll just go backwards a little bit. There we go. All right. Now I want to give the illusion that perhaps there's a stripe in that awning, so I'm going to take a little bit more stronger pigment and come down here off this side, maybe off this side a little bit. Sun's hitting up here. All right, a little bit right here. So I still have a stripe, but the sun is coming down fairly strongly on this side. There we go. All right, not bad. I can live with that. This seems a little abrupt up here. I'm going to just water it down a little bit. Come up here. Just soften it a little bit with water and let it be, let it dry. All right? I'm liking that. Hit the camera again. I'm liking that. That looks good to me. Let's do it again. All right, so just kind of make this whole thing, start over here because you know you've got the darkest color on your brush. Come this way, it's getting lighter anyhow. Oh, I like this one too. Okay, maybe I've got a bit of a stripe going on here, a bit of a stripe going on here. All right, I think I like that one the best. All right, so a little bit of fussing and something fabulous will turn up. I've almost finished cutting my awning, and I just want to show you that I am not, oh, my nails look so good until that big blotch right there. Okay, so there's the lines right there. So I'm just kind of leaving a bit of white around my awning because I know that it'll help stick up out of my image better when there's a little bit of white standing around. Okay, and then just don't worry, and that's why I just waited here just to show you. There's some lines coming down from the continuation of the drawing that really won't matter because they're going to show anyways underneath the awning. Then you're going to put it somewhere where you're not going to lose it. Okay? Because you know you will. You'll drop that on the floor and you'll never see it again. So here it is in my special little container. It's going over here. So now I'm trying to organize this so you can see the finished picture as we work along on our little stamped image right there. And this is going to seem silly, but I want to show you something. See, there's a little tiny, right there. There's a little hair. Right now, I know that's a hair. It came off my stamp from maybe a fuzzy from a wet wipe or something, and it's black. I'm going to leave it alone. That may happen. It'll be stuck to one of these little bits over here or something. Like, let it dry. The ink will also dry up. There's another one right there. If I swipe it right now, it's going to sweep across my nice pristine white, and it's going to leave a streak. We're cutting this out, so this piece doesn't matter. But I'm going to let it dry, and then I'm going to blow it away a little later. And you're going to see that a little bit of patience with something that happens that you just don't want to have show on your white stamping will help you get rid of something that doesn't need to be a problem. All right, so there we are. I just have a little bit of blue that I need to do on this awning, and then I'm done with blue. So still working off that original swipe of blue that I had. Even though I don't need to necessarily paint this, I'm going to do it anyway so that it'll give me a little bit of practice if I haven't done it before. Also, if a little bit is showing underneath after I lift up the foam mounting from edge to edge, I will see it underneath there. Okay? All right, so we are done with that. Now what happens when I need to change color? Well, I'm just going to go back and forth gently with scrap paper or a little bit of leftover paper just to get the color off. Meanwhile, my pen is still running with a bit of water, so that's good. I'm going to turn this around, and I'm going to do, let's do our most dominant color, which is this one right here. It's kind of a ugly, mustardy kind of color. I was kind of going for that stucco look in a house that was really old in Europe. And, you know, they didn't power wash the side of their building. All right, so I'm pulling that out, adding a bit of water. There's where my pigment is strongest. There is my pigment that's been watered down. Now I'm just going to go fairly quickly because I don't want you to feel like you've got to agonize over every last thing when you put color on here. Just going under here a little bit, coming down here. See how fast this is? The only problem maybe with this stamp is that you can't quite discern, hey, where exactly is the patio or the wood from the, I'm not even saying it right, fence. Where is that? And where's the side of my building? So if you're not sure, just make it up. You know, wherever you put the color is wherever it is when somebody's looking at it. All right, so that was easy, right? It looks like it's watercolored. Well, since we're doing so well, let's just finish off the rest of this. And down here. And yes, if you touch it to the blue and activate that blue again, you are going to get a mix of colors. All right. That's pretty good. It's a little dark under here because I figured that's under the awning. So it might be darker under there and shadowy. I'm not going to be too careful. Well, I let that dry and you can see that you can definitely see a stroke mark. So I'm just going to pull that down like that. Since I put a big blob of color on there, I'm going to add a little more blob of color over here. And then carry it on over here a little bit since put so much color there. Yeah, I'll let it match up just a bit. You notice I'm tapping on some color under here because it's so strong down here. I'm going to match it up here. You'll notice I'm tapping though. I don't want to rub too much. Once I make my paper wet, it can only take so much and then it'll start to pill. So tapping a little bit of color on is a nice way to get around that. That is done. How fast was that? That's easy. You could make a bunch of these really quickly. I just tapped that again. All right, now I'm going to get my color off a little bit. All right. look at that the stamp doesn't actually have a finish to the right side. Don't freak out. You're just gonna cut it out, and I did some creative cutting that I didn't encourage in the class. So you just kind of cut it out, and I followed along. Funny. I think it would be better to keep the bulb from this lamp intact, so just cut better than I do. All right, now I've got a couple of grays and I got a couple of taupes. And the reason why I'm doing that is because something has to tell you where the edge of the sidewalk is and where the top of the sidewalk is and where the brick is without introducing 10 colors. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the gray first and do all the gray parts. Let's see if I can get this on screen. So let's just make sure this is cleaned off. Just be gentle with your brush. Don't, like your kids do in the middle of a paint pot. Just don't do that. Keep it beautiful. All right, so here's my gray. I'm pulling it out just a bit. And I think what I'll do is I'll do this roof right here. It's pretty washed. I'll add a little more straight pigment under here. And while I still have quite a bit of pigment on, I'll just add it up here too. And now I'm going to pounce a bit of color on because I'll let it bleed. So I'll pull up my paper. There we go. Honestly, probably should have been lighter over here because of where the light is coming from. I just totally forgot that. So you can do it right on yours. Now I'm going to do the lamppost. And this is skinny, so, stroke lightly. Don't feel like you have to do the entire lamppost. And you can work quickly. I just added a bit more pigment to this. Little touches here underneath just to give it a bit more stronger color over on the right side. There we go. If I messed around with the black too much, I'd probably pull up the color a little bit. So, all right, now that I hardly have any gray on my water brush, I'm going to use that to just show that I have a window here. And the way I'm going to do that is to have just a light wash of gray. I'll pull this out, water it down pretty good, and just add a bit to my cafe window. Not a lot, just enough. I want to give the appearance of a window, but I don't necessarily want to make my window gray. All right, so now I'm going to change the color again. Actually, I'm not going to. I'm going to do these little bricks right here. All right, let's wash it down a bit. First, we'll do an overall wash right here. Now I'm going to take some strong color and try to help my bricks look as though they're separated from each other, not just by line, but by color. Here we go, and I'm tapping that in since I just made them all wet. Again, this line should probably be on this side of the line just to show. I always forget about my light. But since I started it, I'll finish it. There we go. All right, that's good enough. I have a little bit of gray along the edge of this sidewalk. Since I'm using this color, I might as well get them all done. And then a little bit of washed out gray. Let's not add any more color to the bottom of this pot. See how fast this is going? This is not taking long at all. All right. Look at all these neutrals here, and I'm still working with a neutral. So I pulled out yet another neutral color here, and this is like a taupe right here. That color we all used to wear on our nylons. When we all used to wear nylons. Oh, man. And everybody liked the taupe color, and it was almost gone when I got there. Okay. Now I'm going to do this little miniature lamp post. Try to remember that the light's over there now, since I didn't do it the other time. There we go. If you want to add a bit more color, just do some touch and let it bleed. A little bit of touch and let it bleed. Right now I'm going to do the sidewalk. Not too hard. And it looks like that matte right there should have been the same color as that, or at least that's what I did over there. But you know what? I'm just going to do it in a dark version of this color. Let's see if that ends up being a mistake or not. Just make it quite a bit darker so it stands out. There we go. That's pretty good. But I did notice something. I noticed that I forgot the side of the building. So I'm going to come back and get this color right here and add it right here. You know what else I just noticed? My door is brown. Okay. It's a good thing you know not what to do with all the mistakes I'm making. Here's this taupey color again. I'm just doing hints of color on the rocks, and that's it. That's all it needs. Okay, let's see if I can save myself with the brown. This brown is pretty dark, but I picked it because when you water it down, it's the right color for the job. So I'm going to be a little bit more careful with this. I'm going to give my doorway a chance to dry since I'm going to be covering it up with the right color. And now I'm going to add a bit of brown to these posts. And you'll notice that I don't feel the need to color the whole entire thing. I just need to give a hint. That's the inside frame. I don't know what that line is right there. So I'm going to do the inside frames with a little bit of brown too, just so you can see them. And it almost looks as though they made the inside of the frame the same positioning as the post. So without agonizing over what color we should do, we're just going to do the whole thing brown. Right now we'll just add some post. It looks like I probably should have put another color in the inside of there again, so just to show what it is. So let's pick up some gray. Go along here, go along here. A little bit more gray, come up on this. Let's do the doorknob. Actually, let's leave the doorknob be so that it shows, and we'll just color the hardware gray. And then let's do the inside of this frame here. All right. Hints of color are good. My water brush is really wet right now, so I'm going to let's pull some color out. There we go. All right, let's see what I can do about this door. Okay, that is not bad. Looks like a door that needed to be washed a few times. There we go. All right, so looks like I added brown up here, a little bit of brown on this frame, a little bit of brown on that frame. All right. Is there anything else as I hit the frame again, hit the camera again? There we go. All right, I think we're looking pretty good. We just need to do these flowers now, and you just have to decide what color flowers you want. Look at how hot this pink is. But again, I picked it because of the color, not the intensity. I can water down a little bit. So if you do circle, 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 where the actual flower is, you're going to have to make up a few flowers because they're not that precise. All right, there's my little circles. Now I'm going to get rid of my washi color, and I'm going to go right into the intense part of this color, do a blob right in the middle and let it bleed, so that you have a dark part to the flower and a light part to the flower, like so. Now we're going to have to kind of make up where the greenery is. So let's put a little green on here. And we'll kind of pretend we know where the leaves are. There we go. That's pretty good. Let's get a darker green. And just touch around here just so we have a little change. There we go. There we go. I think that looks better. That looks good. All right, a little bit of yellow. Yellow is pretty intense, so wash that down first. Do your little circle. Get some stronger pigment and just put it in the right back. There we go. All right, I think we are done. Let's put that over. There we have that little fleck that I just blew away. All right. So we're going to cut this out now. Let's take a look at our plate. Here it is. You can actually use this for quite a long time. You can just leave it there and use it tomorrow if you want. The only other thing is a little bit of oxidation is going to happen. So after a while, this green will look brown because it's been out in the air. If you rub some water on it, you'll find out what color it ends up being tomorrow. But probably the easiest thing to do is just take your wet wipe, clean off your plate. There you go. Now you're ready. Ta-da! All right, you can use a block, old dish, piece of plastic, whatever you got. All right, we're done. I cut it out. You'll notice the cutting job, let's move this over so you can see it, is just really loosey-goosey because you're just going to have white paper behind it anyway. And I just noticed this is stamped crooked, even though I made a big speech while I was cutting there. So we're going to hide that by doing this. Let's move it around. Okay, I like the way that looks. My hotel is crooked. But still, I think I need this space right there. So I'm going to put it down right here. Keeping in mind that I'm probably going to squeeze a little bit of ribbon right there. Oh, got a message on my phone. All right, tap that down. All right, here's my cute little awning with a little bit of foam mounting on there. I'm going to curve it with my fingers a little bit. Might as well make it look like an awning. There we go. Got a cute little curve on it. Let's stick this on here. All right. I love that. That's super cool. Okay, now, that's so professional. Super cool. All right, this is going to go here. And this is going to have ribbon around it. So I'm going to glue these two together, and then I'm going to put a little bit of ribbon on there when I find it. Be right back. So I'm just about to put this ribbon on. I've put some score tape or express tape on it, and here's what it looks like on the roll, because this cool lady called me and said, hey, you used this on your video, what is it? So it's either score tape, like this. It comes in 1/8 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, 3/4 inch, or express tape. Actually, express it by Copic, actually. And then Prima Marketing came out with their own version, so lots of people have this. And what's cool about it is, if you're going to put down ribbon, you can't really see the tape through it. So I'm going to flip this over. I had to lift up my foam mounted piece a little so I could sneak this underneath it. I could put it here, but I don't think it's going to look good. I think it's going to have to go right there. So now it's going to lie nice and flat, and because of the score tape, it's going to turn around the bottom edge really nicely too and just hold down. Then I'm going to tie a kind of a pseudo, not really a bow, just tie a knot in it, like so. Make sure my ends are lying flat, so manipulate it as you tighten it. And then cut that like so. And then all you have to do is decide where it's going to go. And because of where everything is, that might be the only place it's going to end up going, right there. Let's try over here. No, 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 no. It's going to have to go there. All right, so let's just take a look at that. And I'll show you the original so that you can make a better choice than I did. There it is. All right. Ta-da. Ta-da. All right. This is going to go on here. So we're finished. I moved this over because it needed it, and it was throwing me off that it was stamped crooked on this side. And I ended up not using the little knot there because it just wasn't working for me. So it looked better without it. And then I went to the inside and stamped again. That's how I finished it off. It said, "Good things are just around the corner. Treat yourself to something." This is also from Tailored Expressions. And look, ack. So I'm going to show you a trick. This is black, and I'm using a pencil. So let's see what happens if I just fix it with a pencil. Because you know you can erase in a pencil, right? Look at that. Now, if I didn't do such a good job of it, I could just erase it and try it again. But do you see how your eye kind of fools itself a little bit? This pencil is close enough to black that you can get away with that. And if you don't like what you did, just erase it. Do it again. See, I think that's a pretty good trick. Of course, your pencil has to be sharp. And I don't think anybody is going to be able to tell that that isn't black. And if you don't like it, erase it and try it again. That's a great tip. Okay, so I'm closing this. I'm doing that. I'm showing you the original. Look at how the ink has faded between those two. This is not because of the distress inks. This is because this was displayed in my store and I have a lot of lights in my store. And that leached the color out of this. It is not the ink's fault, just so you know, because I love those inks. Okay, so that is it. Thanks for watching. And thanks for signing up on my YouTube. That's making me very happy. Really appreciate it. I'm going to try to not obsess over any mistakes and do them again just so that I can get this video out. So have fun, pull out your old water-based markers, and look like a genius by watercoloring with them. Hopefully I'll do another video a little sooner. Bye-bye.